Hey guys, so you'll see rainy season has come to Tanzania, and the other day some person sent me the link on BBC iPlayer. I've since managed to get it to work for a documentary that was about born too white sort of thing. So it's about albinism in East Africa and the witch doctors who are hunting persons with albinism and cutting people up and using their body parts as portions and such. So very dark subject, not pleasant subject, but I'm going to speak on it because it's a big part of my life. If you look on my new website, sharetanzania.co.uk, you'll see under the special needs page for Featherstail Children's Village that we actually have put a thing on there with our fundraising to mention security, because our security costs are so high that we have to mention it now so people understand where we're spending our funding. Now, what is this witch doctor stuff, first of all? Well, if you watch that documentary, you'll get a good gist of it. There are witch doctors here, and they mention in this documentary, first of all, the UN did there were some undercover stings done, and $70,000 a child was the cost, and the portions are $20,000 each. The average Tanzanian is making $1 a day. So, well, they say it's a little more now, but in my community it's $1 a day for certain. Now, who can afford $20,000 or $70,000? Who can afford that here? Well, in this documentary it clearly states that the disappearance of persons with albinism, it happens a lot more around election time. So this made the Ministry of Home Affairs announce a ban on black magic in politics here. So if you watch the documentary, you can see all of this. And they announced a ban because black magic is used quite heavily it would seem, around that time of the year. Why else are persons with albinism disappearing more when there are political elections? Now, there's no strong, huge evidence and saying this politician did this, but this is what is universally going on. They see this when it's elections, persons with albinism disappear. So there are people of affluence who are doing this. Now, in there it speaks of protectorates, which are where persons with albinism live here in Tanzania, and this protects them. Now, we actually, for a child called Anna with albinism, we pay for her to stay at the local government secondary school where there's a security guard, so she doesn't have to walk home from school every day. This is because she will be targeted by witch doctors and potentially, if not mutilated and left alive with no arms and legs, then potentially killed. And it's a horrendous thing, I know. Now, a few weeks ago, I took down a video about witch doctors because the way I worded it wasn't good enough for myself. And some person started to come up with other solutions for what had gone on, and I didn't want to take away from the problem here. This is a massive problem, guys. And the more people know about this problem, the better. Now, where does this tie in for what I'm doing? Well, a year... How long ago now? Yeah, just under a year ago now, I had a child brought to us called Nimzana, and the police force came here and gave me a child and said, look, John, we have a problem. She lives in the next hamlet of Uchira, so literally a kilometre from where I am. Maybe it's a kilometre and a half. Last night, a gang of belonging to the witch doctor gangs came and tried to kidnap this child. They were trying to break the door down, and the father was working security night shift at the church, and the mother screamed and screamed with all her might, and neighbours heard, and they came running. A lot of different men from around the neighbouring houses came running with machetes and whatever else, and the men saw them coming and fled. But whilst they were trying to break the door down, she screamed at them, "What do you want? What do you want? I don't have anything." And they said, "Just give us your daughter and we won't hurt you." Now, Nimzana has cerebral palsy, and she now lives here with us full time in our protection and also in our care, of course, because we have good facilities for special needs children here, including trained staff, qualified staff, occupational therapists, etc. But I say under our protection because at night I had guests last week and they were shocked at how many Maasai warriors surround our land. We have in the forest behind me, we have Maasai warriors who sleep there, and they sleep in this forest at night to stop anyone sneaking up on us. We have also inside the compound, we have 2 security men inside this compound, and at any given night we have 4 or 5 warriors protecting this 1-acre compound. Now on top of that we have a panic button, and to hit the panic button sends a signal to the local town, and a truck filled with armed guards will appear at the gate. Now when the button has malfunctioned, they do come and they just run in with riot gear, and they are geared up and ready for a fight. They know what we are doing and they know why we have the panic button. And one of the worst foes in this country are these witch doctors. They are brutal. They are evil for every sense of the word, and you couldn't describe them as anything else but. So why us? We don't have children with albinism here. And ultimately what's going on, the police told us that the special needs children are now being targeted, and sadly one did disappear a few kilometres this way and has been never seen since. A child who can't walk or speak is kidnapped when they disappear, obviously, and we just pray that that child is at peace now with God, wherever they are. So the witch doctors are now selling the idea excuse me, they're now selling the idea to wealthy persons that if you kill or sacrifice a child with special needs, you will get great rewards. Now, they say this happens because the children are free from sin. Now, hold on one second, sorry. They say a special needs child is so pure because they haven't had a chance to sin, that killing them will bring the same rewards that these albinism potions will bring to a person, to stave off bad luck, to ensure that you have a good mining harvest. Now, the locals hear down the line what's going on, and they are saying tanzanite mining is where the problem lay. They are using witch doctors at the tanzanite mines, and these people are getting wealthy off this tanzanite. And when they are taking these children, it is said, now there's no evidence yet, but a few years ago there was no evidence for where the albinism children were going, but now BBC can make documentaries about it, and no doubt, and I hope and pray that in a few years we can start making documentaries about this problem with the special needs children as well. So at the mines they are being told that if they sacrifice a special needs child, that they will get a good harvest of tanzanite. This is what the locals are hearing, and this is the message that's being passed to myself. It makes things very difficult. Now, the government are doing a good job tackling these witch doctors. They've outlawed witchcraft, they've made it illegal, and that is a step in the right direction. They arrested, 2 years ago, they did a sting and arrested 50-something witch doctors. But they still exist. I passed a house, outside the house were people with very miserable faces, and they were all at a witch doctor's, and my social worker and I walked past and he said this is a witch doctor's house, and we were actually taking a special needs child from down in the valley near there, so they were in a dangerous place with a witch doctor up the hill from them. Now, this is a massive problem when you care for these children, that potentially with 26 children, if they're getting 70,000, even if they're getting to a witch doctor, sadly these children are seen as money. And this money from these satanic beliefs is what we are now having to protect the children, because they're seen that way. They have this satanic belief that they can get money from these children, from the death of the children that we care for. And And it's disgusting. It's obviously utterly disgusting, and it can't be described as anything but satanic. However you want to label it, evil, whatever, but most persons would agree satanic is a good label. And because of that, we need to provide this protection for them. And this is why we actually have a section to explain funding for donations for Feather's Tail. We have to allocate money for salaries for all of the security guard who we use Maasai warriors, because they are very fearless and they don't back down from a fight. And we know that if someone comes, that they'll see the fight through, shall we say, which is not something we like to think of, but they would, whatever the outcome. There are Maasai children here as well, so who are related, in fact, to one of the warriors is related to one of the children here, so we know that they will fight. Now at the same time we'll hit the button, but the call out time's about 15 minutes, so if we hit the button in 15 minutes the guards will be here. Could be too late by then, but it's just the only option we had for outsourced security. Now, a few weeks ago I made a video because our perimeters were tested. So it's not like this is some aloof concept and they might or they might not. Our perimeters were tested by a gang. We can't say that's who it was, but we don't think common thieves would come here. Inside this compound is an animal rescue as well with the disabled children. And we have over 50 dogs here. So at night there's around about 25 dogs out, and some of them are big dogs, German Shepherds, and they will bite you if you hop over the fence. If they don't know who you are and you jump in this compound, they will attack you. They're not attack dogs or anything like that, but they just will. They might bite you and run away, but they will bite you. I've seen strangers who were working here doing building work, and they didn't ask for someone to escort them down, and some of the dogs ran over and bit the back of his leg. So, but if they know you, you're fine. The children and everything, they're all very gentle with them. But at night time we have all of these dogs out. So only an idiotic thief would hop this fence for whatever reason, because everyone hears the dogs and knows they're there. If you touch this fence, the dogs will come running and barking and growling because they hear it. So this has meant that we haven't been too worried about, because we don't have a great fence, but we are going to need to upgrade it now, because as I say, around about 3 or 4 weeks ago our perimeters were tested. It started with a drunk man who was pretending to be drunk. We were all agreed that this guy who appeared at the gate was pretending to be drunk, and he was evaluating who was working security wise. Now I had sent the Maasai warriors to other locations that we have, and I'd made a mistake. We'd grown a little comfortable with the panic button, and I sent them to other locations, so they were still working for us, but they were just at other areas, other sites that we have where we have children, etc. So just working as a security, not as a protection team for this witch doctor problem. And every fence was tested, all 4 fences, and the dogs were splitting up and running all over. And as it would happen, there was only myself and 1 security guard that night, and we were out for hours. I was exhausted come the morning, and we locked everybody in the houses, and there was only he and I outside. So we were looking for whoever this was. He found 1 person down here. Again, the person pretended to be drunk. It's good cover when you're caught thieving, just to pretend you're drunk, and this is what was happening. But the dogs for hours went to every fence. So there was people at every fence, and this land's over an acre, so it wasn't just 1 person running around. We just saw them or heard them. So they were testing, is there a weak link where we can get in here? Ultimately, this is what was going on. And it got so intense that night with the dogs barking and growling, and the older children who are here. Dominic's been with me for 2 years now, 2 years and a few months he's lived with me. He is a teenager now, and he was watching from his room what was happening, and he realized that it was probably or possibly witch doctors, and he made a run from his room to the other room to hit the panic button, because he thought that who he calls father, thought that his father and the security guard were going to have to fight these people if they jump over the fence. And it really touched my heart that he did that. But unbelievably, when he ran and hit that panic button, it didn't go off. And the panic button that he hit is in a room that we don't use for residency anymore, so we haven't been checking the maintenance of that button. and he hit the button, and he presumed that the security team were on their way, and they didn't come. Turns out some rats had eaten the wire for that panic button, so it's since been fixed, and we've put new buttons outside as well, closer, so if any children or any staff get panicked, then we have extra buttons so you don't have to go inside to hit the button. Because at the moment there's one in my house. I have some remote control ones with the security carry with them in case they get into a fight they can't handle, and now we've put some outside the houses where people can hit them as well. So this is our life with witch doctors, and it's not nice. It's not pleasant to have to stand out in the middle of the night with your security team holding an iron bar or a machete, wondering if someone's about to jump over the fence. I, to all intents and purposes, am a pacifist in life. I don't believe violence does anything, but if someone clears this fence to get these children, then their only hope is those of us who can fight. And this is a tough way to live your life. And we're not sexist in any way, but we do lock the women inside because the women are all small. You know, they're not big enough. It's just how it is. There are some women who are strong in the world and trained fighters and could probably beat me up no problem, but none of the women here are, and they're all small stature. So they're locked inside to protect the children, and if any trouble comes, then I have to go out with the security team and the panic buttons in our hands, because how long would it take if a group of men hop a fence, if they had a gun or something even, you know, and they went and forced to take one child, that child's only hope is that we manage to overpower those people. And this is the bizarre, for many people, and for us, bizarre reality of our lives living with these witch doctors in the country and their strange belief systems. And there's a lot of focus and attention on children with albinism, and I'm grateful for that because it's horrendous. There are so many horrendous murder cases where people with albinism are just, in that documentary there's a story they focused on a man with albinism who was just working his farm, and they came and in the field itself they took his body parts, they killed him and removed several different body parts from him, his organs and stuff, in the field next to his home, where he was discovered by his family. And this is the twisted religion of the witch doctors, but this is the twisted aspect of humanity. The shadow, as Carl Jung would call it, or Satan, as a Christian would call it, or just plain evil. If you don't, if you don't join any of those fields of thought, just plain human evil. And I wanted to mention it because this documentary is out and some people might be researching it, and it's happening now, but there's no coverage on the special needs children, and I'm going to change that, because if more children keep disappearing in this country, now that albinism persons are protected in protectorates and they have a new target, a free of sin special needs child, as they say, then this needs speaking on as well, so as we can force the government to get more stings done, because this last sting that rounded up 50-something witch doctors is wonderful, but it's also said that people are very scared to round them up because there is still a lot of superstition in the country, and people are fearful of the spells they will cast, or I think more than likely they'd be more fearful of the powerful friends they have. You know, if people are so wealthy that they can afford tens of thousands of dollars to kill children, then they have some powerful friends around the place, you know. And sadly, often money does buy power, as we all know. So. And at the end of this, if you are new to watching us, then you won't know, but if you are a regular watcher of what we do, here behind me is the development of the children's village. Now here, this fence is terrible. I built this in a hurry. I didn't build it to keep people out, I built it to keep the dogs in when we didn't have special needs children here. But now I'm at the point where I need proper security. I need a proper security fence, because these people tested the fence and they could have cleared it. They could have jumped. I can literally push that down. The only saving grace at night time is when the dogs hear that noise, they go. All of them. When there's 25, 30 of them out, then they come, you know, because they know that noise means someone's at the fence. So I need a new fence, and to do that I need to fundraise. Actually, because I've touched that fence now, my dog has come to see who is bothering the fence. So I'll give you an idea. However, I need a new security fence. I need one that goes up and out with barbed wire, so you can't just climb over it, and getting over the barbed wire will be difficult to do. Also, I've built a new house which we can't use until we get that fence, because the house is outside of this compound, so they don't have the protection there of the dogs. And to have just one Maasai warrior at the house, or two, is dangerous, because however good the Maasai fight, if 5 men come or 6 men come, they can overpower the Maasai and take a child out of those rooms. So I need a fence around our existing land and around our new portion of land as well. So I'm going to open a fundraiser for that and see if we can get this done quickly, because otherwise the new rooms that were built for us last week, because we have the single parents with special needs children here, for those of you who don't watch us, those rooms are for 3 single mothers who were homeless with disabled children. They can't move in until I get that fence. They just can't, because it's not safe. So that is our fundraising goal at the moment. So if you have been watching me a while, I'm about to open a fundraising page for that. If you're new to us, and this witch doctor problem has touched you in any way, as it does many millions of people all across the planet, and you want to do something to help us fight it, then helping us to protect these children is a way to fight it. Either that, or if you don't want to support us, then go out and support one of the protectorates in Tanzania with the persons with albinism, because it's all needed, and it stops nightmares from happening for families of persons with albinism, and it helps parents to protect their children, which is ultimately what we're all trying to do here against these witch doctors. Be you a normal parent with an albino child, albino parent with albino children, or be it ourselves acting as guardians to these children, trying to protect them. So yeah, witch doctors in Tanzania. Hopefully one day it will die out with education, but that day sadly doesn't look like it's any day soon, because now that they have a wall up against persons with albinism to some degree, they've switched their focus to special needs children. So, okay, not a pleasant topic, but one that must be spoken. Much love, guys.
Yeah.